Hello, it's MUSOLINI, the merchant of success, with another dose of life and career transformation wisdom. And today we are going to focus on harnessing the power of a true sense of urgency. This is 2.0, and I'm glad that you're here. For those of us who are attending live, and for some of you watching the recording, just know that you're the reason I'm here. If you are not able to listen in or to watch this, then it doesn't make sense for me to speak to myself. So just know that I believe in you. And this is a subject that is dear to my heart, because I know for a fact that I've lost many opportunities because I did not tap into a true sense of urgency. And I've also harnessed some opportunities because I acted with a sense of urgency. So it's a double-edged opportunity. I don't like the word sword, as you can imagine. So it's a double-edged opportunity. Let's frame it that way. All right. So these are the 5 blocks that I look at when I'm engaging. I look at clarity, and clarity, we define what is and why that idea is important. We look at the mindsets required to achieve that outcome. Then we explore the strategies that are critical to this particular subject, and then the skill sets also required to fulfill or to realize that particular subject. And finally, mastery. Mastery in this context, we mean, how do you own this information so that it's part of you? So we'll flash some idea and an idea for your concept. And secondly, the breakout room is part of the mastery stage. So please, would appreciate it if you stay and go to the breakout rooms for some of us who are attending live. And if you're watching the recording, then just pause the video and do the exercises accordingly. Great. So let's look at the clarity in terms of urgency. So to have a sense of urgency is to act promptly and with intention to make things happen efficiently and effectively. So there's a promptness. So you're thinking about promptness, you're thinking about efficiency, you're thinking about effectiveness. That's the mind of urgency. That's what we mean here. In essence, it means doing what needs to be done immediately. Okay. One of, I believe Goretti was said that she'll be joining us later, so I'm not sure whether she's in the room yet. But this is what I like about her. She usually says, you know what, I'm going to do it right away. And I love those words, okay? Or I'm going to call myself right away and share with them this idea you've told me. So she always has that mindset of right away. So it's urgency is a right away mindset, and it's always a beautiful mindset to have. So it means you always see things as urgent. You see, there are people who see things as if, there are people who see things in seasons. There are people who see things in seasons, and there are people who see things in seconds. So, I like that distinction. Do you see things in terms of seasons or seconds? So if you think in terms of seasons, then you're thinking as like a farmer. Farmers think in terms of planting season and harvesting season. They think in season. Therefore, that mindset will make you take a lot of time. But the people who think in terms of seconds, they see things in terms of now, okay? And they see everything as urgent, now, right now. So if there is one thing, so Samantha, you could create a graphic for us, and Andrew, later, and you can capture this. Say, you know what? Think in terms of seconds rather than seasons to move forward faster. Okay. Please capture that and post it on our social media pages. Just flashed in my head. Number 2, having a sense of urgency also means that you respect time. There are people who do not respect time. There are people who think that, and that's why I'm always keen to make sure that, for example, by 4 p.m. the rooms are open. I don't want to disrespect your time. And that's why I also always want us to finish on time. Again, it's to respect your time, because you could be having other engagements, and I need to respect that. So that's having a sense of urgency. You think and believe that someone's minute or seconds are crucial or important. This other one is quite a big mindset, and that is you don't wait for permission to perform. What do I mean? Let's just suppose you are attending an event and something falls down. So there are two kinds of people. There are those who will just fold their arms and say, and even start whining, saying, now who did that? Now, can you imagine these guys? Oh, a person with a sense of urgency steps up and moves into helping out to say, okay, how do we set this up again quickly to help things get back up? Even if you are not one of the organizers, but you're thinking, hey, the thing has fallen, it has to get back up. You're not waiting for permission to perform. Now, there are other, of course, there are contexts. You also have to be very careful with context and be sensitive to culture and all that. So not every time you offer help is it a perfect time, okay? There are moments where you offering help could be not called for or uncalled for or unhelpful or out of context, or it could be out of etiquette, so to speak. I'll give you an example. So one time I was at Serena where we had a huge event. It was a Rotary event, and we had an international speaker, and one of the chief guest was the Queen of Uganda, Nabagereka. So she had finished her speech, and there was a master of ceremonies. And then it was time for her to, come down through the stairs. There were steps leading to the podium space. So now she was coming down. So I was nearby, and I noticed no one was giving her a hand. And I dashed to go give her a hand, and the security people, someone grabbed my hand, and I mean, it's taboo. You don't do that, apparently. So, meaning, the point I'm making is I had the heart. I didn't seek for permission to perform. It was a positive attitude. It was good intentions at the wrong time, so to speak, or in the wrong context. I believe, so I don't remember what happened, whether someone else helped her or something, or she just, well, even though I know her and she knows me, it is out of taboo. It is taboo not to do, those of you who know these cultural things, you don't do that. So for me, I just leaped out of instinct to say, okay, this amazing lady needs help anyhow. And so the point I'm making is, even though you want to help, even if I'm saying you don't wait for permission to perform, also be aware of etiquette. There could be moments. So in that moment, I was wrong. So it was out of context. I didn't even think about it in the moment. It was just an instinctive thing that I did. So just beware, just to put caveat there. But over 99% of the time, I mean, it's a fantastic attitude to have. And there could be that 1% where you shouldn't. You appreciate the danger in not acting immediately. You know that if you don't act now, there will be danger. You know that if, for example, you do not take your child for medical attention in a particular context, then it's going to be dangerous. You know, for example, that if you do not respond to a client right away, you know there are costs attached to that. Then you also know the goals of your actions. You know what you want to achieve. Because when we say urgency, it's not just a matter of urgency for the sake of urgency. It has to be urgency with purpose. Please write that one down. Urgency with purpose. I like the sound of that. Actually, let me, where did I put my pen? So urgency with purpose is extremely important. So you know the goals of your actions. You know what you're aiming for. And that's always a great thing. You also understand the bigger picture. What do I mean by the bigger picture? You know that if I do this, this is what the ultimate end is going to look like. This is ultimately how this beautiful thing is going to come out. So you hold the big picture, and visionaries always keep the big picture. And in your life, hold the big picture for your personal life, for your career life, for business, whatever it is. So you don't lose the big picture, because you know this sense of urgency is aiming for the big, picture, for the big vision. So it's crucial that either way, at whatever stage in your life, wherever you are, always do not lose the big picture. Then you are proactive. That's when we talk about someone in the sense, you're proactive, you do not wait. And yesterday, I believe it's yesterday, when we were talking about most valuable employee, you know, you don't, if there's something to be done, you don't just fold your arms, you raise your hand, say, God help me, what can I do now? And then you go, once you get to the idea, you go forth and do something. I will give you an example. In the last lockdown, yeah, which was about what, April or thereabouts, last year. So I was at home and I thought to myself, wait a second, this lockdown must be affecting businesses and organizations and leaders and managers in ways that we may not know. So can we do some, can we at least reveal the information related to that? So right away, I got onto a call with Gerard. Gerard is a lecturer at Makerere University. He also heads a business called Multimedia Consult. I said, okay, can we partner and put in some resources and do research between Success Africa and Multimedia Consult, so that we find out what's really going on behind the scenes with this lockdown. So long story short, we quickly put the team together. We did research, we published that research. We used our own resources between the two organizations and published that report, and it was very helpful. By the way, if you are interested, you can go to success-africa.com/research. And Samantha, you could look up that link, and then you can paste it in the chat box for some of us who could be interested in that research. So the point I'm saying, and it was useful insight, not only for the public, but also for us as entities. So being proactive is, you see a need, you jump and take action right there and then. You do not wait. So we acted with a sense of urgency, and boom, the report was out. We believe we added value to the marketplace, and you know, got also some media attention, got on NTV, and you know, got it on hundreds of sites across Africa. And so for me, the point I'm making is, being proactive can mean something as small as noticing that a visitor is at home and they have just arrived. It's sunny out there and they need some water, right? And then you give them some water, and when they take a sip like this, like, yeah, I played a role in that. So why sense of urgency? You see that the world belongs to the restless. This I learned from a former CEO of Coca-Cola, and I had him say that. And I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. The world belongs to the restless. And what he was saying is, if you just rest on your laurels, the world is going to leave you. It's those people who are restless who are always moving forward, who will charge forward. And as such, you need to keep charging forward. Some of my colleagues, we are attending a program, and these guys, their name is Rhino. And this guy said he chose the name Rhino because rhinos, they charge forward when you think about a rhino. And therefore, a sense of urgency means you need to be charging forward. You need to not rest. And that doesn't mean that you don't sleep, just means that you don't stay in your comfort zone. So you rest down, once you wake up, you get running again. What is the next idea? What's the next project? What's the next move? The other reason why we need to pay attention to this topic is that the business and the NGO world is getting more and more competitive. You can look everywhere and the world is competing. I mean, when you think about it, let me see, 2003, if we are to use Uganda as an example, 2003, well, let's go back, way back, 1998. 1998, when I made a decision to become a motivational speaker, there was, I don't know of anyone who was established as a motivational speaker here in Uganda. And today, as we speak, it's 23 years later, as of this recording. And well, there are so many, all of in every corner. So that's competition for you. Now I'm speaking from my own perspective in terms of my industry. Guess what? If you think about your profession, your career, or your business angle, I will tell you the competition is constantly expanding. It's much bigger than it was, say, 10 years ago. And guess what? It will keep accelerating. Therefore, if you do not act or respond with a sense of urgency, then you're gone. But the opportunities you don't take, someone else takes them. That's it. You don't pay attention to someone else grabs them. I believe that when we look around ourselves, you'll notice that there are those, you go somewhere and you notice, like, there are these food courts you go to, you enter immediately and everyone has this flyer. They are telling you, oh, here, hell, there is this opportunity, there is this opportunity. And I mean, I'm saying if you do not pay attention to the customer who has just entered, then you're gone. So I believe the business world has a lot to teach us. If you go to a food court, whether it's in Kampala or Dubai, you will see that there's so many competing outlets and everyone wants a piece of your attention. And as such, if for you who's running the business, you just fold your arms, that customer is gone. So you need to think about your career, your business, your opportunities that you're chasing for that way, knowing that there's someone else waiting. If you have a donor, just know someone is courting them secretly. If you have a customer, someone is courting them secretly. If you have that job, someone is strategizing on how to take over, either internally or someone from outside. That is life. It's the world of evolution. Things are always evolving. They are never constant. And as such, you need to think to switch your mind that way such that you can accelerate much faster down the road. The time comes and the opportunities are lost, and usually they never return. There are certain opportunities. I'll give you an example. There was, when I was a training consultant with British Council, there's a lady who told me of an opportunity. This was around 2005 or 6. There was an opportunity to get a property in Entebbe. It wasn't big, but it was supposed to be what, 15 million shillings? And 15 million shillings in dollars, that's about $4,000. I dilly-dallied. That opportunity went. I'll never catch it. And right now, as you can imagine, right now it is way more than that as we speak right now. Way more than that. That opportunity came. I did not apply a sense of urgency because lack of mentoring and good information. And they say that if you knew better, you would do better. And that's why I'm so keen on these ideas, because sometimes all you need is someone to wake you up. So my brain was asleep. It wasn't awake enough. It wasn't urgent enough. And I lost that opportunity. And that exact opportunity will never return in my fold. Never. Gone. So once you are aware of that, because when I'm teaching, I prefer sharing both my successes and failures or challenges and lessons, so that you know that I'm indeed flesh and blood. I'm not a perfect human being. Up to now, I still make mistakes. And the difference is between now and 20 years ago is that even from my mistakes, I learn from them, okay? So the key thing to remember is that the opportunity you have now, there's no guarantee that it will be available tomorrow. That I can tell you. Therefore, you have to grab it with all your might and hand and feet and brain and heart and spirit and maximize it. Because if you don't, then you might live to share a story of regret, just like I am. And I would rather you don't. I would rather you celebrate. Say, you know what, Ethan, that thing of sense of urgency, I saw an opportunity, I leaped onto it, I grabbed it, and boom, please send me an email or call me and tell me that. Because that's the biggest payment you can give me. You're transforming your life as a result of the ideas you're picking here. And that's why I'm sharing these concepts with you, because I believe that when you are better, we are all better. By the way, that's the mindset I come from. So I'm here to be of service to the world. I believe when I'm better, the world is better. When I help you to be better, then the rest of the world is better. And I am better in the process. Cool. So before we jump to the mindset, so now let's talk about mindset, because mindsets are important. How you think or how you look at the world is going to influence how you move forward or fail to move forward. Here, the four must-have mindsets for harnessing a true sense of urgency. Mindset number one is the big picture mindset. And I hinted on the big picture earlier. How, in other words, you need to ask yourself, how does action or inaction affect the bottom line? And when we say bottom line, it's different strokes for different folks. Bottom line for a for-profit could mean market share. Bottom line could mean revenue, or it could mean profit or loss. Bottom line for a non-for-profit could mean how many lives are impacted so far, for example. So you need to know what that is, and how does action or inaction affect the organization, and what will that mean for me? So you need to tap into that and clarify that before you, such that it is super clear. A big picture mindset also creates ownership, which drives a sense of urgency. So you know that, okay, if I don't respond to this email, funds won't be released. And if those funds are not released, 1,000 people in the camp might not eat. And if 1,000 don't eat, 500 of them might die. So now all of a sudden, the email, responding to an email is not just an activity, it is saving 500 lives. It is saving 1,000 lives. So you always need that big picture mindset. It might mean, for example, it's okay, if I do not go and look for a job, it might mean that I can't get work. And if I don't get work, then my family won't eat. And if my family won't eat, then what is my role? Right? That's big picture mindset. That will push you to take some action. Next, the other mindset, which is important, is if I don't do it, then who? Urgent people take full responsibility of situations, and they believe that the onus is theirs to act. Yesterday, we were talking, actually, we were having a topic in the Succeeding Daily Mastermind, where we meet every Wednesday. And one of the members said, you know, I take it to myself. Yeah, I believe that was the executive director of FAWE, who said that what helps me in terms of overcoming procrastination is to know that as a leader, the onus is on me. In other words, she asked herself that if I don't do it, then who? So you need to have that mindset of, okay, if I don't do it, then who is going to do it? The other addition you could add, if not now, then when? It might sound corny, but you know what? You're better off psyching yourself for the good. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? Because you know that that story, that spirit, that experience of thinking about tomorrow and thinking about someone else is going to do it. Have you ever noticed that there are people who always think that someone else should be responsible, that someone else should be the one doing that something? And I'm here to propose to you that usually it is you. You. If not you, then who? So I want you to start adopting that mindset as many. Of course, it's not always that you're the one who's meant to do it. And I'm saying most times though, over 90% of the time when you find yourself in a situation, at least you're meant to do something from your own perspective. And I believe and when you think about it, I believe that's why John F. Kennedy's famous statement that do not think about what America can do for you, but ask yourself what you can do for America, something like that. In the same way, just think about this concept. What if each one of us asked ourselves, not what the organization can do for me, but what can I do for the organization? When there is a problem, rather than always asking, what can management do for us? And we also started asking ourselves, what can I do for management? Because usually when I'm interacting with organizations or staff members, there's this kind of thinking as if management is some kind of entity out there on planet Mars with special qualities, with special identity, with special protection, with special resources, with special unique, whatever you want to call it, who are overlooking over these helpless individuals on planet Earth who are in the lower ranks. And therefore, but management, what does management think? What does management think? Those people out there, they should do something. Do something. For you, what are you doing? Hello. I'm looking at you. Are you seeing me? What are you doing? What are you doing for management? Guess what? One day you'll be in that management seat. Then what? Why don't you build that muscle now? Why don't you build that ability now? Why don't you show God that your management material now by thinking like a manager rather than thinking like someone who must always get help? That's acting with a sense of urgency, knowing that you start to build your muscle now. I'm looking at you right now. And I want you to be reminded of what I'm talking to you right now. And if you're feeling this in your heart, this is what you've been waiting for. To stop acting small and start acting big and take ownership, my friend. If not you, then who? That's why God put you there. That's why that challenge is happening before your very eyes. That's why that statement is, you're listening it in your very ears. That's why you're feeling motivated in your heart right now. Because God wants you to do something. Now, it could be a big thing, it could be a small thing, but you are supposed to do something. If not you, then who? That's part of acting and thinking from a place of urgency. Now, I know that some of us, this is all you need to hear. I mean, meaning, even if I said nothing else, but if you can get what I've just said, it will revolutionize your life. You see, what you don't know is that I used to act from a place of, oh, poor me, oh, me an orphan, oh, please. I always looked for handouts as an orphan. I was looking for help all over the place. Me, please, 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 please. And it's only when someone looked at me in the eye and said, but for you, what are you doing for you? And she was reminding me to take personal responsibility. And responsibility is not just about personal matters, but can you start taking responsibility for your colleagues at the workplace, for your family, for your siblings, and do something? If not you, then who? It's when I changed that I started seeing my life take off for the better. The other mindset that is very useful is opportunities in crisis mindset. A true sense of urgency manifests when an individual develops the habit of searching for opportunities in a crisis. This means acting swiftly and precisely due to a limited time window. Okay, so I understand, and one of you who understands this even better, you can type it in the chat box, in that the other side in Chinese, the other side of crisis is opportunity. So meaning in every crisis, there is always an opportunity. I'll tell you there are businesses growing and thriving during this time period. Now, of course, there are those who just take advantage. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying there are people who are genuinely creating value and in the process being rewarded for creating value amidst this current crisis. Those are the people I'm talking about. So my invitation to you is this, my friend. When you see a crisis how can you look for opportunities amidst that crisis? All right. So because it's through that kind of thinking, and rather than cry about a crisis, it means you ask God, where is the opportunity in this crisis? Do I always ask myself that question? No. I wish I was. Sometimes I do. And when I do, there is always an opportunity. I can guarantee you, in every crisis, there is an opportunity. Your job is to look for it. And then, this is a big then, you act immediately, because that crisis is not going to last forever. That window is not going to last forever. I had that window. Fourth mindset, now or never mindset. You take the right action right away. It's either now or never. And there comes a time where you say, you know what? Now or never. You see this series, I kept pushing, and then I say, you know what? This date, this is it. We will go with what we have, with what I have. That's it. The world is waiting. Doesn't have to be, let's go. And there comes a time when you say, let's go. No more games, no more talking. And I feel if we had more doers than talkers, of course, people like us, I'm not saying that, of course, there are people like us who depend on talking. But I'm saying there are people who do more talking than doing. And I'm saying, you know what? My favorite people are those who first do and then talk. Those are my favorite people. They do and then they talk. They report what they have done. And there are people who talk. Then you ask, where are the results? Then they talk. Then you ask, where is it? Then they give you another story. Talk. No. So there comes a time when you say, no more talking. Let's go do. And you and I need to push ourselves and force ourselves to get into that mode of, you know what? No more talking. Let's do. No more waiting. Let's go. No more sitting. Let's get up. No more walking, let's run. Now or never. And there comes that time where you can feel it in your heart. Like I could feel it in my spirit saying, you know what? Go. Go. And you have to listen to that message, my friend, and you go. All right. So Jacqueline saying the challenge comes in when you're in a team and you are the only one who is asking these questions and doing what's right. The others in the team just shrink and leave all the work to you. Number one, Jacqueline, I'm saying, first of all, congratulations. At least you're asking the questions and you're doing the work. That means you have the right mindset and you have the right work ethic. And I'm here to propose to you that your next level then is to learn how to motivate and inspire others to follow your lead, to do what you're doing. You need to learn some leadership and influencing skills because you cannot move the world by yourself. You need to enroll people to be behind you, to get you moving. I mean, you're seeing me doing this series. There is a team behind me supporting me. I can't do all this by myself. So it's a great observation. And I'm here to propose to you that, yeah, it's Covey who talked about independence, then interdependence. You have to move from dependence to independence, then interdependence. So now you're an independent person. Now you need to learn the art of interdependence and inspiring others to be with you. Here are 5 key strategies for harnessing a true sense of urgency. Strategy number 1 is self-reward. Reward yourself for whatever you accomplish within the set time. The brain works on positive or negative reinforcement. So when you reward yourself, once you've done something quickly, you can promise yourself and say, okay, if I can finish this chapter in the next 1 hour, I'm going to reward myself with a banana. I have a banana next to me here. All right. So you reward yourself because you need to send a signal to your brain. You need to be your own psychologist. All right. You need to become your own motivator because you will not always have motivators around you. You need to be your own motivator. And one of the ways, of course, is rewarding yourself. And it can be as simple as, you know what, if I do this, I will reward myself with a 10-minute nap. Just make sure you put an alarm so that you don't oversleep. The second strategy is the opportunity-driven strategy, meaning you establish the opportunities and how they benefit you. What are the dangers if you don't take these opportunities? Create as many whys as possible to create rage within you. So you need not just rage, but excitement. So what do you see? What do you see that you get out of this? Okay, if I can enroll for my PhD, I see a potential promotion, I see a new job, or I'll have more audacity to ask for a bigger pay, or I'll be able to do this, I'll be able to do that. And generate as many whys as possible, because what you need is to inspire and motivate yourself to get off your behind and move. And one of those ways is to generate as many whys as possible. So what you do is you can find a paper and, you know, generate as many reasons as possible as to why you should act now, as to they not act now, but the opportunity you see in this deal, in this job, in this goal, in this aim that you have, in this objective that you have, because it's those whys that will give you momentum. It's Nietzsche, I believe it's Nietzsche who said, give me a strong reason why, give me enough reason why, and I'll find out anyhow. So once you discover the why you're doing something and you generate these reasons why you should act on this thing, then if you generate them enough, then it will give you that extra motivation. Because sometimes we do not act because we are short on motivation. And one of the ways to do that is to generate as many reasons why you should do something. You see, one of my goals is to, if I can support you in thinking the right way, then you take the right actions, all right? Then the next strategy is, just a second. The next strategy is what I call the necessity-based strategy. Okay. So these are the questions you need to ask yourself. Why is this necessary? Why do you need it badly? Why must you do it now? And what is the impact if it is not done? Especially the first three questions. Why is it necessary? Why do you need it badly? And why must you do it now? You need that clarity of thought, focus, and feeling. Why do you need it badly and why do you need it now? What's the value in it now? And one of the quickest ways, of course, is what will you lose if you don't do it now? So that's why almost all opportunities, they will say, okay, the deadline for applying for this job is this date. Because they know that if they don't put a deadline, so to speak, then people won't act. Therefore, it becomes a necessity. You're like, okay, if I don't submit it by this date, I lose out forever. And forever I make my peace, forever hold my peace, so to speak. So you need that always to create that necessity, sense of necessity. Then the one tool that always keeps popping up is the accountability partner strategy. You need to work with other people with whom you are like-minded. Share your projects or tasks with colleagues that can hold you accountable. Get one who can pressurize you. Not get that one who is just lovey-dovey. No, those lovey-dovey people, those are the ones you go to when you're feeling bad. You know, things have not gone right. So you need all kinds of people. You need the lovey-dovey types, whereby whenever you arrive, oh dear, sorry, and then they massage your neck or whatever, or say, you know, hold you by the hands or something like that. And you also need other characters who pressurize you for tasks. You know, okay, if I want this thing done, I better inform John, because John is going to be a pain in the neck until I get this thing done. Say what, John, I have to submit this project proposal by this date. Please keep me accountable. And then John will be on your case. So you need those characters, my friend, because you and I are human beings. Sometimes we get distracted. And these days, I feel one other person I should enroll on my team is definitely my 7-year-old girl, because for her, If you've told her that you're going to do something, she'll keep asking, Daddy, have you done this? Have you done this? I've done it a few times. And I'm thinking, as I'm sharing this with you, thinking all I need to do is tell her, you know what, I have to do this by this date. Then she will be on my case, because for her, she will say, okay, how much time, Daddy, should I give? I'll tell her, okay, just give me 5 minutes. Then 2 minutes later, Daddy, and 5 minutes over. Because what she feels should be done now. No, so you need those people. Then you get moving. Related to that is the time red line strategy. You set a time goal upon which you commit to not violate. Push yourself so hard until you make this a habit. So there has to be, this is a habit you have to build. You have to consciously build. You have to consciously and religiously find a way to make it happen. Now, how you do that is over time, say, you know what? I'm giving myself a target by this time, by this date, all must be done. And rather than accountability partner, it might mean, okay, if I don't do it by this time, then I won't do this. I'll give you an example, something small. This is not big, but you could get an idea from this. So I like reading books, of course. I like going through courses and all that. I love learning. That's one of my passions, as you can imagine. And so the challenge is sometimes because I'm super creative, sometimes when I'm doing something, then I see another useful thing to go through or to learn from. So then sometimes I get distracted and I go there. So what I typically do is I tell myself, you know what? Before you touch that, you need to first finish this. And so then I tell myself, okay, I really need this to go through this today. Therefore, I give myself a red timeline and saying, okay, by 3 p.m., I have to have gone through this. Then it will get me to be able to read that book or to go through this course. So you need to give yourself a timeline and you stick to it and you build that muscle over time, because it's a muscle that you build over time. Then it will give you that framework to work with, so that in future you can push yourself. All right. Let's talk about skill sets. And I'm calling it the T.R.A.P model of urgency. How do you trap actions in a way? So just hold that as an image, in that you trap an action until it's done. You trap an idea until it's executed. So so use it as a mantra. I want to trap this until it's done, okay? It's trapped. The first T is timeliness, okay? So meaning you have to act with decisiveness. You do it there and then you act with decisiveness, you make a decision. Here is something else when I talk about decisively. When I had just finished, I was still actually a student at Makerere. One of my, a gentleman who is dear, but anyway, since he's private, I won't mention his name, but I consider him like an uncle, literally like a father of mine, because, since my teenage years, when I lost my father at the age of 17, I lost my mom when I was 9, lost my dad when I was 17. So because of that experience, I'm always looking out for elders who can be my parents, in quotes. So he's one of those parents, in quotes. And when I was still at campus, he took me on more or less like his son almost. I had him say this. He said, I would rather have someone make a wrong decision than someone not make a decision at all. And that really stuck in my head. I never asked him what he meant, but I kind of got it, even though I was in my early 20s. And when we talk about acting decisively, it means you don't dilly-dally, make a decision and move. Because sometimes what holds us back is the fear of making mistakes. And I'm here to tell you that even if you make a mistake, unless it is disastrous, you learn from it and move forward. But act, because by inaction, you almost never learn from inaction. When you feel it's the right time to act, you move. You take a move, you make mistakes, and then out of those mistakes, you learn, and either you get what you want or at least you learn from it, like I've taught before. The R is result focus. The desire for results ignites a flame that sparks urgency. So meaning that should be your overriding goal, your overriding intent should be, I want to get results. If you want to become a top manager, a top leader, drive people for results. Have that as a mindset for people. You want to create results in your life? Have that as a goal, as an outcome, as a way of being. You can start calling yourself, I'm a results-driven person. I'm a results-focused person. The A is action. You take action, you take it now. Now is the time. Because like I mentioned, you and I are not sure of tomorrow. I better do my best right now because I may never get a chance to speak to you. It is what it is. If you do not impress now, when will you impress the other person? So I'm just going to do my best right now. You may not find it palatable, or I may fall short in terms of the expectation, but at least from my world, I'm going to do my darndest best. Because you have to take action right now. So you have to have the take action right now mentality. And then the P is personalization. What is in it for me? Here we are talking about the emotion. Here we are talking about all these. We are talking about logic. We're talking about the physical. That's the action. Now here we're talking about the emotion. And this is what drives action right here. This is the deep psychology right here. The emotion. You have to feel something to get moving. So what's in it for me? Meaning, how will I benefit? What's the big picture? What's the vision? What does it mean for me if this is not done now? What does it mean for those I care for? I really love that. What does it mean for those I care for? What does it mean for those you care for? What does it mean for your children? When I was thinking about my girl's education, I was thinking, all right, my dad, even though he didn't have much money, at least he did the best he could with what he had, with the education that I had. So, and I'm grateful to that. And I would want my daughters to say the same thing. One day, say, you know what, Dad, with what he had, he did the best he could with our education. And therefore, for me, it means that then makes it very easy for me to make sure, for example, that she gets online coaching during this period. That because I care for my girls. And I want to, one of the legacies that my father, even though he was a tailor, he pushed me to a relatively good school, and it was a great foundation. So I want to create the right foundation for my daughter, so long as I'm alive and kicking. So what does it mean for those you care for? Because let me tell you something. Whatever you're doing, whether you know it or not, either directly or indirectly, it affects those people you care for. Either it will uplift them or bring them down. So one of the biggest motivators is to think about those you care for. And talking about which, my wife discovered a trick. I hope she's not listening, but sometimes she does. She discovered a trick. So now if she wants something, she sends my daughters, go ask Dad to do this, because they know I have a soft spot for them. Then you must also think, I must do it as if my life depended on it. That's the other thing you need to think about. If your life depended on it, how would you behave? How would you act? How would you move? When you do all this, then amazing things start happening. And then with the mastery, what I want you to think about is develop a scenario and apply the TRAP model. So meaning, think about something that you've been thinking about doing and you're not moving forward. Ask yourself, what does timeliness mean in this for? What is the result that I want? How can I take action now? What does it mean for those I care for? What's the big picture? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? What does it mean for those I care for? So I want you to trap that vision and think through it and process your mind through it. And what you could do is you could process this with, say, a colleague or an accountability partner, so that you think through this together, and then you find yourself moving. Great. So this brings me to the next question, which is, does it make sense? So For us who are attending live, you can go to the breakout rooms. If you're listening to a recording, then you just pause and discuss this. What did you find most useful in this presentation? And how are you going to implement the lessons moving forward in your life and career stroke business? Okay, so how are you going to do this? So that's what we are going to discuss in your rooms. And then one of us said, oh, you guys, I feel like I've been the chairperson Procrastinators Association International. Not anymore. Thanks, Ethan. Great. So I'm glad to hear that. So so it's good languaging there, even better, LC. So at least what I like is that not anymore. So that's good. So it says something like, what I learned from one of my coaches was that you say something along the lines of, up until now, I've been this, and moving forward, this is what I choose to be. Okay. So it's good you're saying not anymore. And then who now? So who is the new you? Who is the new you? So rather than say, oh, me, I'm always this, then it becomes an identity, which I'm glad you're not formulating. So you say, up until now, I have been doing this. And moving forward, I am choosing and committing to do this, okay? So Elsie, please go ahead and type in the chat box whether that makes sense or whether you've gotten me what I've just said. Because it's an extremely powerful distinction that you declare a new you, a new identity. So that was the old you. So who is the new you? Okay. So that you declare that. And also when you're framing, say, up until now, I was this. And now the new me, I choose to be this. All right. Elsie, it really does. I choose to treat all my tasks and assignments with the urgency. The time red line strategy really hit home. Great. Nekawenji says, up until now, I've been the chief of procrastination, but today I choose to act urgently. If I don't do it, then who will do it for me? Exactly. Okay. Philippa is asking, we have discussed urgency, but how do you ensure that what we are calling urgent is urgent and could be important and not urgent? Well, Philippa, now you're taking us into the time management, and we'll be handling that. So I would, but since you brought it up, let me handle it. And I see us going deeper on it in terms of time management. So it's a great question that Philippa is asking. In that, how do you ensure that what we are calling urgent is urgent and could be important and not urgent? So yes, so this is how I would look at it. So I believe Philippa is coming from the school of thought in that sometimes what is urgent is not important, and sometimes what is not urgent is actually very important. Those of you who have read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he's the one who popularized that concept. And I would encourage you to look it up if you're not exposed to it. And by the way, I got to know that Stephen Covey also learned that concept from the former US President Eisenhower. So he's the one who originated that concept. Then Stephen Covey put a framework around it. So in that, just to give you an example, for example, doing exercises may not seem to be urgent, and yet it's extremely important. And someone calling you may seem to be urgent, like you have to respond now, but may not be that important right now, because this is someone who is just there to chit chat. So back to your question, just some quick thoughts, and then we'll go a little deeper on time management when that segment comes. And that is, for you have to know, number one, what's most important to me? What's most valuable to me? It comes from you asking yourself, what is very valuable for me? And that's why holding that idea of the big picture, the vision, where am I headed to? So for me, like what I'm doing right now is extremely important given my vision, because my vision is around transforming humanity. And you will be hearing a little more about that in the next couple of weeks. So for me, doing this is extremely important. It's both urgent and it's very important, okay? So that's key, meaning so the key things to focus on as much as possible is if it is something very important in terms of value, and it has to be acted on now. That's one. Two, There are also things which are not seemingly urgent, but very important, like the health aspect, like exercise. So what you need to do is you need to move it into the box of urgent still, because when you make the most important things urgent, things like your health, like your family, whether it's finances or relationships, then for example, I will tell you, I feel like I need to create even more time with my daughters. It doesn't seem to be urgent, but it's extremely important. So I need to put it in my urgency bucket. Say, hey, she's 7 years old. Hey, once she goes past a certain age, then we won't even be having this time of tickling and all that. So I have to create that time. So of recent, we started the game of at a certain time, they want me to run around the house while carrying them. So those are memories. So it doesn't look urgent, but it's very important. So, but I put it in my urgency bucket. So when my daughter says, oh, but you haven't carried us around the house. Well, for me, it is both important and urgent because it's family, it's connection. They are my girls, we have to connect. So it's a deep question you're asking, Philippa. And what it calls for is like last night, I was something I'll be sharing with the mastermind members. Like last night, I was drawing a certain box on my page. You may not be able to see it, but there are 6 areas: spirituality, health, family, wealth, impact, then Success Africa. So those are all urgent boxes, but sometimes they may not seemingly be urgent. So we have to put them in the urgent box. Okay, today I must work on this, on something. So I knew, for example, I hadn't taken a walk with my wife for a while. So this month, because I had written this last night, so for me it was it may not seemingly be urgent, but I moved it into the urgent box. I said, you know what? I have to do it this morning. I must walk with her. Okay. Philippa, let me know if I've answered your deep question. Okay. All right. Emmanuel says, up until now, I've been one of the coordinators of procrastination. I choose to be daring. Great. Nathan, yes, 7 habits of highly effective people. Great. Stephen says, I've never understood how pertinent and proactive to handle managerial issues with urgency till today. From now on, I know the positive implications of handling issues urgently, efficiency, and effectiveness. I have to change immediately. Great, Stephen, that's a great insight, because most staff members feel like their staff take their time. When they have issues, people take their time and they don't know the cyclical impact. Okay, so because when you are in a team, for example, you're part of a chain. So when you do not respond to that email or phone call, you hold everyone back. You hold everything back. So I'm glad that you have that insight now. We can use the 9-quadrant decision-making module to handle important and urgent tasks. Thank you, Mr. O. Next time you can share with us that quadrant decision-making module. Great. Philippa says, yes, thanks. Clear, love that response. Okay, fantastic. Great. So